Švyturys, Baltas, Hefeweizen.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I've got one here today which I really didn't mean to pick this up, and I went round to the shop around the corner and I went to pick up, if you can believe this, a big jar full of Wally gherkins for my stepdaughter. She's got a craving for them, don't ask me why, but I went round there and this was sitting in the fridge. Now that Premier supermarket round the corner, they do a lot of this Carlsberg brewed Latvian and Lithuanian beer, and this is from the Švyturys Lithuanian brewery, and they've got quite a few of their beers around there. I don't know why, I don't think there's any Lithuanians that live around here at all, but they've got a whole shelf full of them in the fridge. So I thought, Hefeweizen, I'll pick that up and see how that is. Now this brewery, I've had a few of theirs before. If you look on the channel, you'll see that there's a couple of reviews of their beer. It ain't great, to be honest, and I imagine this is one of the biggest breweries in Lithuania. In fact, I think it is. They sponsor a lot of the sports that goes on in Lithuania, and they're owned by Carlsberg. So what comes with that is very good distribution, and obviously they've got inroads into the UK, hence the reason this was sitting on a shelf around the corner. So I'm not really expecting much, because these type of breweries from this part of the world, the beer they produce isn't that great. But there's one interesting thing about this brewery. They do a lot of German style beers. Well, obviously there's a Hefeweizen here. They do quite a few Dortmunder export style beers as well, and obviously they've got the Hefeweizen here, but they also do some Scotch ale, which is unusual for a Lithuanian brewery. Really don't understand that. And they do an English pale ale as well, which again is a bit weird. They do a porter, obviously there's Baltic porter, so they are keeping up that tradition, but it's a bit weird because they, as I say, they do quite a few Lithuania hasn't really got a style of beer apart from the porter, the Baltic porter, which they do, but they do quite a lot of German style beers. I don't know why that is, because the only link, the tenuous link I can think of, is when this brewery was founded in 1784. The area it is in now is called Klaipėda. I think that's how it's pronounced. But back then in the 1700s, the late 1700s, that was called Memel. And I think it was under German control, or it was part of the, it would have been under German control, and it stayed like that. I can't remember when it changed the name, but I imagine there was quite a lot of German influence on there, and obviously that must have influenced the beer, hence the reason they do quite a few style beers. Now they do a Pilsner around the corner as well, and I was going to pick some up, but I didn't. I just picked this up just to see how it was, because to be fair, it isn't that great. Everything I've tried from them so far, and I've tried a few, ain't great, so I really haven't got high hopes for this. But let's investigate and see what's going on. Right, it's 500ml can, which I like. None of this 440 bollocks. It's a 5% wheat beer. I mean, at least I'm hoping it is. I did see 5% somewhere. Oh no, it's not. It's 568ml, so that is a genuine pint. They do that in Lithuania for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm not complaining. That's fucking great. It's 568ml. It is 5%. With all this light blue on there, I thought this was non-alcoholic, which I was going to be fucking ranting and raving about. But no, I'm not. But it's part of what they call their traditional collection. If you see that. And there is the front of the can. there is a load of Cyrillic on there, so you know that this is exported all over the world. I'm not even going to try and read that. Lithuania don't use Cyrillic writing, but obviously this goes into Russia or Ukraine or somewhere like that, somewhere where they use Cyrillic. In fact, most of it is Cyrillic here. What have we got for ingredients? Nothing in English. Well, thank you very fucking much. Yeah, that's it. Not a great deal. Hefeweizen style wheat beer. Okay, get that. What's it got? This is unique due to the wide range of aromas and tastes. Noticeable banana flavour and delicate notes of cloves and citrus fruits. The fruity aroma is in harmony with dry and sour with the dry and sour taste of the beer. Okay, dry and sour. It's talking a good fight, but let's get it open and see what's going on. Right, now this is quite cold, it's just come out of the fridge. I'm going to put it in a Schneiderweiss glass. I could be really insulting Schneiderweiss there, but let me see how it goes. Alright, this is being called a Hefeweizen. There it is in the glass. It's quite a pale colour. I'd be expecting something a little bit more orange. I don't know whether there's sediment in this. I don't know whether, well, you'd think there would be. Oh, it looks like there might be. Of course, Hefe in German means yeast. So I'm hoping. It's certainly, I'm getting some aromas from that. I wasn't even expecting that. You know, with Carlsberg, I really have got a bit of a prejudice against macro brewed beers, but there it is. I mean, it is reasonably lively, but the head is dissipating quite quickly. It does smell like a Hefeweizen, I will say that. There's big aromas of banana, subtle clove, and a little bit of spice on there as well, reminiscent of a Belgian Wit, I suppose. And there it is. It doesn't look too bad, it doesn't smell too bad, but as I always say, the proof is in the tasting. I'm going to try and get some of that, if there's yeast at the bottom of that. Now this will be a first, trying to get a whole fucking pint, and this is a pint can. Normally it's 500ml. Wow, look at that. You said I'm not talented, at least I'm not a complete fucking muppet. There we go. Let's get it down the hatch. Bottoms up. It doesn't taste that bad actually. So it's got the usual flavours of banana and clove, like you would expect from a Hefeweizen. It's not as sweet as some of the Hefeweizens I've tasted. The body is quite weak. It's not a full-bodied Hefeweizen. Normally you get quite full body on wheat beer, because of course wheat does give the mouthfeel some volume on there. There's a lot of carbonation in that, which is expected. The colour, as I say, you can't really fault that. It's not really doing much, both aroma-wise and appearance-wise, to get any alarm bells ringing. There's a slight metallic taste to it, but it's not overpowering. The banana and clove is definitely there. but it's a little bit insipid, which I sort of expected anyway. When it comes to Hefeweizen, there really are some good Hefeweizen brewers out there. And of course it does range from, you get some that you get quite a sour type tinge to, which I was sort of expecting from this, but that's not really there. This is, as I say, you get some that are quite sour in the grand scheme of things. Obviously you've got Berliner Weiss, which I'm not including in this, but you get some that are slightly sour, then you get some that are quite sweet. So for example, the slightly sour stuff, I would class the Patronus that you get from Lidl, their own brand. That's sort of bordering on the sour side from what I can remember. And then the sweeter side, you've got Einsiedler and Franciscana. I find that quite sweet as well. This is not, it's nearer sour than it is sweet. It hasn't got that real sweet bubblegum type flavour. But I'll tell you what it has got. Now, usually when I'm reviewing genuine German Hefeweizen, I always make, well, I don't always make a point, but sometimes make a point where I can't understand other beer reviewers when they're reviewing German Hefeweizen and they're saying they're getting coriander and spices like pepper and stuff. I never get that. I don't think I've ever gotten that. However, with this, there is shades of Belgian wit beer style flavour in there as well. Notably, subtle coriander and lemon and orange zest. I am getting a little bit of that in there. Not a great deal, it's very subtle, but I can get that there. And it's actually quite dry. The finish on this is quite dry. It's interesting, I will say that, and it's slightly different, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's great, if you know what I mean. I can't get away from the fact that it's owned by Carlsberg, so you know that their bean counters are going to be seeing what corners they can cut. All these big brewers do it, Marston's definitely do it. But I have to say, this is not the worst wheat beer in the world. The body is a little bit watery, I will say that. That's the only thing that's lacking in this. The banana aftertaste is not big. In fact, the finish isn't that big at all. This is quite cold, but I'm still getting all in flavours. It's very refreshing, I will say that, and it goes down quite nicely. It's not got any nasties in there. It's just a little bit different. And I think what it is, yeah, I can definitely get the orange in there. I'm getting banana, but I'm also getting orange too. There's clove as well, that is there on the aroma. It's definitely interesting, I will say that. Now, I haven't had a wheat beer for, it must be a month now, something like that. And I imagine if I'd reviewed some German wheat beer before this, I'm not going to say Schneiderweiss, but your average German wheat beer, say for example the Schürferhofer, that was a reasonably good wheat beer. A little touch sweet. I think if I'd have tried this after one of them, then I might have been a little bit more scathing, but it's probably a good thing I've tried this. This is my first beer of the day. It is now 6:15 in the evening. It is mid-July. Well, no, it's not. It's towards the end of July. Weather's quite warm. This ain't bad. It's not great. You got to remember, I didn't order this online. I got it from a shop round the corner, this was the only one that was left. It was the last one that was on the shelf. So I don't know whether they've just got one in to try to see if it will sell, or somebody knows about this and has bought a load of it. I'm thinking it's the former rather than the latter. But I don't mind this. This isn't the worst wheat beer I've tried, I'll tell you that. I have tried some bad ones, believe me. This isn't one. It's 100% better than Erdinger. I'll say that. If it was a toss-up between this and Erdinger, fucking this would win all the time. And these aren't even German, so that says a lot about Erdinger. The reason I'm saying that is because I can get the banana, I can get the clove, I can get the spices, which is a little unusual because that's something I would expect in a Belgian wheat beer. It makes a nice change, don't get me wrong, it gives it a little bit of a twist, which is nice. Yeah, this really isn't the worst wheat beer in the world. I really didn't think this was going to be any good at all. And where it hasn't bowled me over, it surprised me a little bit because I think this was about £1.80. And do you know what? It's fucking impossible to try and get wheat beer around here. Now, Franciscana would be the easiest one to get in my opinion. All the supermarkets do it. I've asked around, there's 3 shops around here. You've got Skunk Central, you've got the Premier place, and you've got, what's his name, Dylan's, the Sikh fella, I can't remember what is it Best Inn or something, I think it's called. I've asked all 3 of them to get it in. Now they won't. Not that they won't do it, they just say yeah, we'll get it. They don't, because Franciscana, because it's the easiest one to get. You know, if ever I'm going to a party or something and I want a little change from a lager, I'll go for that. And it's quite nice. It's a little bit more full on, you know, mouthfeel wise, and it has to be cold. Once it starts going warm, then wheat beer becomes a little bit of a chore for me. But yeah, I was going to say, oh look, there's a little bit of yeast gone into that. Fucking hell, I've just poured something, I've just noticed it, and there's floaters. I wonder if that's going to make a difference to the flavour. So there's definitely wheat, there's definitely yeast residue in that. Something I didn't notice in Erdinger. Can you see that at the bottom? I don't know whether this camera's going to pick it up, but I can see that there's suspended yeast in there, which is, again, that's another good thing. Now it's a little bit sweeter. And again, this is, and I have done this in a couple of videos in the past, you have to get everything into the glass from a wheat beer. If you leave, say if you're drinking a wheat beer and you leave half in there, in the bottle, I don't think you're going to get the true flavour. And I have done an experiment on one of my early videos where I had a bottle of wheat beer and I had 2 glasses and I filled one glass with half of the contents and the other glass with the rest, with all the yeast. And the contrast in the 2 flavours was marked. It really was. You could, in the first glass, it was quite watery, not much flavour, not that great. The second glass was just intense flavour. So it was 2 glasses with half and half. The second glass was really flavour intense, and there was massive flavours of banana and clove. I can't remember what the wheat beer was. So long ago, it's over a year, but I was doing it to make the point that you need to get everything into the glass to get the full flavour. I've seen that, what's that fucking bell end? I shouldn't really be doing this, I shouldn't be slagging off other beer reviewers, but he's a fucking moron. He's the same way, the beer hooligan. He was reviewing a wheat beer and he was rolling a half-filled bottle across the table. I said, what the fuck are you doing, you moron? And he said, oh, some German barman told me how to do this. And I said, well, he's a fucking bellend. And he said, there was loads that told me to do this. Are you saying all German barmen are idiots? I went, anybody who tells you to roll half a fucking bottle of wheat beer across the table is a fucking idiot. I don't care where they come from. And he says, oh, well, you know, I don't believe that. And I said, okay, Show me the science that says you need to do that. Where he's got confused, some people do it, and it's legit. Don't get me wrong. When they do this is legit. They'll do it with a full bottle with the cap on, and they'll roll it across the table just to agitate the yeast. So when you pour it out, you're getting some yeast going, and all the yeast hasn't settled at the bottom. He wasn't having none of it, and I even sent him a video from Paulana. And was it Paulana or Schneiderweiss? I think it might have been Schneiderweiss, and it shows you how to basically fill out a bottle of wheat beer. No fucking rolling an empty bottle across the table. I mean, that's just for what a fucking idiot, the village idiot. That's how they would do that. The fella from Schneiderweiss, he was saying, yeah, you just pour, half or even 3/4 out, and then you give the bottle a little shake, and then you pour it out, which is what you do. Everybody fucking knows that. He thought he was going to be clever and roll a half bottle, and it was going everywhere. It was going all over the desk. Like, you fucking prat. And I watched the video. I shouldn't really be slagging him off, but he's a fucking model for it. Do you know what I mean? Some of the crap he comes out with, and I don't know. There may be some subscribers on here, and you may get the up with me taking the piss out of him and all that, but he fucking deserves it. I watched one of his videos the other day, because it's weird, right? I shouldn't really be doing this, but fuck him, right? I was watching it the other day, and he said something about he's self-declared was it the #1 reviewer for Belgian and German and American beers. The #1 reviewer. It's like, you're not even in the fucking running. You can't even pronounce half the fucking beers he's reviewing. Now, don't get me wrong, I have trouble with some of the names, but I do my best to try and work out what they are. I'll look it up and I'll see how the accents on the names. Some of the, watch some of his videos where he's reviewing Weizen, how he pronounces it. I think it's something like Weizen or something fucking stupid. Anyway, rant over. He's probably going to watch this and fucking send a load of abuse. Fuck him. Sit on that, you fucking bellend. Anyway, relax. Calm your shit down. Let's get back to the beer. I'll just throw off. I'm calling him a moron. I've just thrown half a beer over myself. Not bad. Quite like this. So, what is the verdict on Švyturys Baltas? Yeah, it ain't bad. I was very, very wary of this, but I thought I would buy it for, as the Americans would say, shits and giggles. But I have to say, it is not bad at all, and I think it cost me about £1.80. Now, it's not the best Weiss beer I've tried. It's certainly not the worst. I will say that. I've definitely tasted worse. Erdinger, of course, is one of the worst wheat beers because it's claimed to be something that I don't think it is. Yes, it may be a wheat beer, but it's not a traditional Bavarian wheat beer. This has got more in common with it, with Bavarian. It wouldn't be the greatest, don't get me wrong, but it's doing everything right. It's got the banana flavour, it's got the clove, colour's a little bit insipid, but it doesn't matter. I can see the suspended yeast at the bottom, something I don't remember seeing with Erdinger. Erdinger is just renowned for huge carbonation. I mean, really bad carbonation. You've heard about my near-death experience with the hangover. That was fucking horrendous, and I'm sure it had something to do with the carbonation in it. It's just insane, the carbonation on that. And don't get me wrong, Hefeweizen should have a fair bit amount of carbonation in it. That's actually a trait of it because you need that big head to drink through. But yeah, not the levels they go to. It's just fucking insane. And I'm sure that has something to do with the hangover that I had. What a fucking time that was. I mean, that was proper, as Danny Dye would say, proper naughty. But yeah, I was on a train and I remember thinking, I don't want to die in front of a load of strangers. And it was horrible. Yeah, I had to get off. And I came straight back home. It was fucking horrendous. It was almost like a panic attack. And yeah, thanks Erdinger. I had about 5 pints of it the night before. It was my own fault. I mean, fucking thanks Erdinger. I was drinking till about 11. I got the train back to Kent, and then I was up at R5 on the train back down to London for work. And yeah, it just didn't work out. So it's probably not Erdinger. It's probably me being a fucking bellend. Anyway, this, I would say, what would I give that? I'll give it 7.5 out of 10. because I wasn't expecting much, and it's pleasantly surprised me. The price point is not bad at all. It's £1.80. In fact, is it £1.85? I think it's £1.85, and I wasn't expecting much. And to get quite a complex Hefeweizen, and it is. There's elements of Belgian wit beer in there as well, which I don't normally get, rightly so, from the German stuff. But I don't know whether there's adjuncts in there or whether they've gone for just quite an interesting strain of yeast. I mean, there may be, but I'm definitely getting some spice in there. Definitely getting the orange notes in there, which I don't normally get from traditional Hefeweizen from Germany. But for the first time ever, I'm getting little notes of coriander in a Hefeweizen, and that's unusual. Never had it in a German beer. First time in a Hefeweizen from Lithuania. Well, this is the first Lithuanian Hefeweizen, and yeah, I'm impressed with it. So I'm going to give it 7.5 out of 10. If there's a Premier supermarket near you, check out their beer shelf and see if they've got that. I don't know whether it's, I mean, obviously it depends where you are, but it's distributed by Carlsberg, so you may well have some. If you see some, get some. It ain't bad. Not the best, certainly not the worst. And remember, beer is working class champagne.